Hello everyone, Fina here from Fina Reads. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. It's time to celebrate. New Year is right around the corner. 2025 awaits just a couple more days. And with that come New Year's resolutions. But don't worry, on this channel we don't have the sports thingies or how to be a better adult or any of that nonsense. Instead, I'm talking about reading some cool books. And since we are moving into 2025, how about 25 of them? And no worries, I'm not going to monologue for hours and hours now and present to you 25 books that you should read. Since this is a celebration, I've invited some friends and they are sharing their favorites, their books that they think you should read in 2025. And before we get started, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoy videos like that. And of course, also don't forget to check out the description down below. I put links to all the channels of my amazing BookTube friends down there. Go over to their channels, like, subscribe, say hi to them, and without further ado, let's get started.
Hi, my name is Sarah, and I am from the channel Fairy Reads. Thank you, Fina, for inviting me to be back on your channel. So the one book that I recommend for 2025 is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. The 5th book in this series is coming out in early 2025, so that is a perfect time to start the series. This book is set a little bit in the future, and it is kind of a post-apocalyptic steampunk sci-fi fantasy. There is a lot that goes on in the series, but there is clairvoyance, there is aliens, there is a slow burn romance that I love, and overall the emotional stakes in this series are really intense, so I'm very much looking forward to rereading this series and getting to read the new book.
Hey everyone, my name is Rabin and you can find me over at Only the Best Fantasy Novels. Thank you, Fina, so much for inviting me to join in on this collab. If there's one book from this year I recommend reading in 2025, it absolutely has to be The West Passage by Jared Pekacek. This short standalone fantasy novel is about the return of an ancient evil and the degenerated society it threatens. It's heavily inspired by Gormenghast. It's absurdly imaginative. It's just one of the most freaky, strange, unique things I've read all year, and probably in quite a while. And it's just packed full with so many moments of wonder and horror. And it just continues to just stick with me so many months after I've read it. And it is a book that is easily on my favorites as a result. It's also chock full of a lot of amazing artwork because the author is an artist, and this book is also one of the rare cases where the cover art matches stuff that is in the book. So if that cover art catches your fancy, if anything about this catches your fancy, it's definitely worth checking out. I highly recommend checking this book out. Thanks again, Fina, for having me on.
Hi Fina, today I want to recommend The Lions of Al-Rassan by Guy Gavriel Kay. I read this last year. It was my first book by this author, and in the last year and a half, I've read 9 books by this author. He has quickly become one of my all-time favorites. His approach to fantasy is very different than a typical fantasy writer. Most of his books, like this one, are standalones, and he's often considered historical fiction with a quarter turn to the fantastical. Because what he does is, for his secondary worlds, he takes a time and place in Earth's past and uses that as inspiration for his world. In the case of this book, it's set in a world very reminiscent of medieval Spain. You get 3 central protagonists who are very different backgrounds, different national and religious backgrounds thrown together in a found family type of situation. It is a remarkable feat of storytelling that's really stuck with me and led me on this journey of exploring everything by this author. I highly recommend The Lions of Al-Rassan by Guy Gavriel Kay.
What's up everybody, this is Jake from Nerd Level Rising, and first and foremost, thank you to Josephine for inviting me to collaborate on this. This is very, very cool, and I want to recommend a novella, and that is The Gallant by Janny Wurts. This is a prequel novella to her massive series, The Wars of Light and Shadow, that I plan to start in January. And dude, I cannot get over how much she packed into this novella. It's like 120 pages long, so it's very short, but there's so much depth of character, there's so much depth of the world. We learn about the magic, we learn about some of how the court works, some of the different nations. We learn about the immediate conflict. We learn about this big looming threat that, you know, I assume is going to take place here starting in book 1 of her big series. The prose is just incredible. I kept getting so lost in the words on the page that I would have to go back and reread it because I missed what happened. Like, it was just, it's jaw-dropping how amazing her prose is. So please go read this novella. It's amazing. You can find it on her website. It's only a couple dollars. It's very cheap, but it's amazing. Definitely check it out.
Thanks so much for including me. 25 to read in 25. This is one I am super excited about. It just came out this month in December 2024. I'll be getting to it in 25. Leviathan by Robert McCammon. This is book 10 in the Matthew Corbett series. Wraps up the whole series. This is the final book, the one we've been waiting for. Lush prose that will transport you back to the late 16th, early 17th century. You'll see the colors of every waistcoat. You'll hear the crunch of the shells that they line the streets with. You'll feel the tension. Every sense you have will be fulfilled by this prose. It's an amazing, like, Sherlock Holmesian story as Matthew Corbett chases down a Moriarty-level bad guy named Professor Idris Fell across these 10 books. An amazing series. Wrapped up at the end of this year. Can't wait to get to it in 2025. You haven't started the Matthew Corbett series? Then my book for you is book 1, Speaks the Nightbird by Robert McCammon. Start this series because now it's over. Book 10 just came out. Get in the beginning and you will thank me for starting this series. This is my pick. Book 1 or book 10. Either way, by Robert McCammon, the Matthew Corbett series.
Hi there, my name is Chaz and my channel is Bookish Chaz, and I'm so glad that Fina asked me to be a part of this video. I would like to recommend this book to you for 2025, and that is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. If you are a book lover and a cat lover and you like mysterious secret societies revolving around books, you can't go wrong with The Starless Sea. It's a fantastic read, and I hope you really enjoy it.
Hello, Fina. You asked me to share with you a book that I would like to urge people to read in 2025, and that book is going to be To Ride Hell's Chasm by Jenny Wirtz. This is a standalone fantasy that is a fantastic introduction to Jenny Wirtz's style, her prose, her gorgeous prose that has the ability to immerse a reader into an incredible and perilous world that Jenny Wirtz is uniquely capable of portraying. Not only that, but she weaves some amazing themes into her work. She's one of the deepest writers I know, and also gives us a sense of the vastness through the world building, through her intimate knowledge of so many realms, and through her brilliance as a writer. So I encourage everyone to give her writing a try. If you're not familiar, this is a great book to get to know the writing of Jenny Wirtz.
Hi, I'm Derri from Derri's Read It Before. I'm going to ask you to pick up Dungeon Crawler Carl, and I'm going to ask you to do it on audio, because this is a series that deserves the hype it's getting. I found the gaming elements that are part of this series to be totally understandable. They weren't overwhelming, informed a lot of the choices that the characters make, and yet the characters are absolutely the heart of this series. The characters are well-rounded, they're hilarious, and the story grows in the telling, and the storyline becomes incredibly enthralling. There's a lot going on out there in the big wide universe. It's very much a story of survival, of human courage, of human perseverance. And if you don't find Princess Donut to be the most hilarious talking cat that you have ever encountered, you may need to go and see someone. There might be something wrong with you. Enjoy your 2025.
Hi everyone, I'm Josh from Already Overbooked, and first off, I want to thank you, Fina, for having me on your channel. It's truly an honor to be here. Now, you asked me to recommend one book that I read in 2024, and my pick is Incidents Around the House by the great Josh Mullerman. This chilling horror novel is narrated from the perspective of an 8-year-old girl named Bella, whose family is haunted by an entity Bella calls Other Mommy. What makes this book truly unique is its portrayal of horror through a child's eyes, capturing the innocence and vulnerability of youth while diving into deep familiar bonds and tensions. The suspense builds masterfully, making you question the nature of hauntings and the fragility of family relationships. So if you're looking for a haunting and thought-provoking read that will keep you on the edge of your seats, I highly, highly recommend incidents around the house. So thank you again, Fina, for letting me share my recommendations, and happy reading, everyone.
Hey friends, I'm Danielle and my channel is called Bookara. Fina, thank you so much for asking me to be a part of this collaboration. So my recommendation for one of the 25 books you should read in 2025 is actually my favorite book of 2024 and my favorite book of all time. This is The 13th Tale by Diane Stutterfield, and I am ashamed to tell you how long this sat on my shelves before I actually picked it up. Don't make the same mistake. This is a gothic suspense novel written by the author in 2006. And it's the story of an author named Vida Winter who has been writing and entertaining people for 6 decades, and she is on her deathbed. She's written this book, and it's called 13 Tales of Change and Desperation. And this book has been a mystery because there is a missing 13th tale. She's finally ready to tell her story, and she recruits the help of a biographer named Margaret Lee. As Vida begins her story, she tells the story of 2 twins named Adeline and Emmeline who grew up in this place, a house called Angelfield. And it kind of just unfolds from there. As the biographer, Margaret Lee, kind of gets sucked into this tale, so do you as a reader. And I liked this bit on the back flap of the book. It said that this book is a love letter to reading, a book for the feral reader in all of us, a return to that rich vein of storytelling that our parents loved and that we loved as children. This book is absolutely fantastic, and I hope that you'll make it a priority in 2025.
Hey, I'm Stacey, the Chapter Conundrum, and this is my husband, Jake.
From the Bookish Drummer.
Yeah, and thank you very much, Fina, for including us in your collaboration. And we're excited to talk about 2 books that go into this 25 books for 2025 list. You want to go first?
No.
No?
You go first.
Okay. The book I've chosen for this is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this is going to be a new release that comes out June 3rd next year. And I have read every Taylor Jenkins Reid book to date, and I've enjoyed them all.
I'm also definitely looking forward to reading that book.
Yes, and I'm not going to go too in depth of the premise because I know some people like to go into new releases not knowing a ton, but in this you follow our main character, and she's a female scientist. And one day she stumbles across an ad for NASA, I think, that's hiring female scientists or looking for female astronauts, one or the other. And anyway, she decides that this is something she really wants to do. And I know that this book is going to involve a lot of her relationship with the other females that end up chosen for this program. So I think it'll have some interesting found family vibes and hopefully be a really good time.
So my pick for 2025 for this video is going to be, so far, still my favorite book that I've read in 2024. This might be a very unpopular opinion, but my favorite book so far has still been Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey. And this book, I went into it with very low expectations because it has a very low rating on Goodreads, a very polarizing horror book. But my God, I loved this book. Basically, at the start of this book, you're meeting a young woman who is returning to her childhood house, and a lot of bad stuff has happened to her, and she's basically there to take care of her mother, but it kind of flashes back and forth between the present time, and some spooky stuff is happening, and you're flashing back to when she was a kid, and when she was with her mom and dad, and some strange things happened involving her father, and strange things are happening inside the house. And you get to the end of the novel, and this author takes a lot of risks, which you can go either way, but I love when authors don't just kind of write the same stuff over and over again. And this book is just very out there and very different, and it's the reason why it's very polarizing, but it worked well for me, and I hope it will work well for you if you're into really strange horror books.
So why should the people read that in 2025 specifically?
Because I'm telling them to.
Oh, okay. At least mine, I have some more logic and reasoning. Mine is a 2025 release. You got to be on there, get on the hype train, get to it before anybody spoils it for you.
If you watch my channel and you love some of the same horror books that I do and you haven't read Just Like Home, check it out, and I want to know what you think of it. Thank you, Fina.
Thanks, Fina. Bye.
Hi, I am Amanda, and I'm so happy that Fina has asked me to do another collaboration video. I would like to recommend for 2025 that you read A Discovery of Witches. I read this book just last month, and I think I might have recency bias, I don't know, but I think this is definitely one of my top 3 books for 2024. So that is my recommendation for 2025 to read A Discovery of Witches.
What's up, book beasties? It's Triple B, your friendly neighborhood bearded book beast. Thank you to Josephine at Fine Reads for inviting me onto this fine collaboration. I'm excited to talk to you about a book, and that is The Last Pea Hunter by Selene Goldenberg. It is a fantastic book that I don't think gets enough praise and not enough people talking about. If you like Pokemon, if you're into manga and you like Chainsaw Man, Berserk, Demon Slayer, you're going to love this book. It focuses on our main character X, who is a pea hunter, a demon hunter. It's a bloody, gory, hilarious, good time. Lots of action, lots of humor, great character work, and just a lot of fun. I loved it, and I think you will too. So thank you again to Josephine. Check this book out. You won't regret it. Happy holidays, everybody. We'll see.
Hey Fina, Andrew's Wizard Reads here, and I just want to say thank you for asking me to be a part of this collaboration. And you asked me to suggest a book that needs to be kind of read in 2025, or that would be a great series to read in 2025. And I'm going to go with Will of the Wayfinder, specifically Book 1, Dreams of Dust. There's currently 3 books out in this series, and this was such a refreshing quest-based fantasy about a young boy who is going on a mission to figure out what is going on out in the world. He's taken his first job with these legendary mercenaries, and they go on this quest and discover a great darkness. There's crystal magic, there's unique fantasy creatures, there's spirits, like nature spirits and things of that nature. It's a fantastic, enjoyable read, and for that reason, I highly recommend that more people read Dreams of Dust, Will of the Wayfinder by Lily Ann Crow.
Thank you, Fine, for inviting me to share one book I think folks should read in 2025. My pick is a fantasy. It's a debut by a self-published author. Though you'd never know it's a debut by the way it's written, it feels like it's written by a seasoned author akin to John Gwynne in its storytelling. And that is Nomads of the Sea by Kobe Zucker. Don't let this cover fool you. The sunset, the shirtless man on the front, this is not a romance. This is a military fantasy. The reason why it looks like that on the cover is that this is a depiction of one of the main characters who is part of a nomadic seafaring folk living near the Nisi archipelago. As a civil war is festering in the Nisi archipelago, these nomadic seafaring folk come together with a Western military to squash that rebellion, and you follow multiple POVs throughout that journey, giving you a fantastic insight into the cultural differences, but also the unique and incredibly immersive world that you get to explore throughout this entire journey. Because the setting takes place on both sea and land, you get a fascinating fighting style that is incorporated throughout the war that they end up going through. This is a character-driven story as well. Because you're following these multiple POVs, you get such an in-depth look at the characters going through these circumstances, and their individual arcs are really, really well done. Now, like I said, this is by a debut author, but you wouldn't know it. It's incredibly polished in terms of its storytelling. All of it is so well done. Again, the storytelling reminds me of John Gwynne in the way that he tells his story. It's an immersive and broad world with just satisfying reveals as you go throughout this as well. So if you're looking for a military fantasy, a bit of an unknown author, an unknown book, and you are willing to give this a try, I highly recommend it. It is still one of my most memorable reads to date, and I do hope you enjoy it if you decide to pick it up.
Hey everyone, Ian from the channel Ian the Reader here. I was super excited when Fina asked me to be a part of this collaboration again, where I just get to recommend a book to you guys to read in 2025. This was pretty challenging because she said I could only recommend one book. So I thought I would recommend one of my favorite reads of 2024. This is a book by one of my all-time favorite authors, and it's one that I think that a lot of people would enjoy. That is Small Mercies by Dennis Lehane. Dennis Lehane is a mystery, crime, thriller author. He's written a lot of popular books, including Mystic River, Shutter Island, to name a couple. But this is his latest book, and it is such a well-paced and edge-of-your-seat read. This book is set in the summer of 1974 in South Boston, where there is a lot of tension going on, both in regard to civil rights movements, as well as the desegregation of schools, and a lot of class issues as well. We follow a character named Mary Pat, who at the start of the story, her adult teenage daughter, I think she's like 18, disappears after a night out with some friends. And so Mary Pat goes on a journey to find answers because it seems like for some reason nobody wants to help her out. I love this book so much. Not only is there some great commentary on class and race and the way that those two things interact with each other, there's also one of the most no-nonsense, kick-butt, awesome, tough as nails protagonist of all time in Mary Pat. She was just unbelievable. She was like Batman. She was like just the coolest character at times, but as well as being super cool, she was also super complex and flawed and really enjoyable to read. This is a book that I've thought about so many times over the last like 6 months since I read it, and it's one that I think so many people should read. Not only is it so mysterious when you are trying to figure out what's going on, it's just a very thought-provoking book with some moments that just had my jaw on the floor. I cannot recommend Small Mercies by Dennis Lehane enough. It's incredible. 5 stars for me, hopefully 5 stars for you. And yeah, hope you read it. Thank you again to Fina for letting me be a part of this video. Hope you guys enjoy.
I'm Ben from Books with Genghis Khan, and for my pick for a book to read in 2025, it has to be Darien by Khan Igildin. This is the first book of the Empire of Salt trilogy, and it came out in 2017, and the trilogy is complete, but it is criminally overlooked. For some reason, this never broke out. Maybe it's because the publisher forced him to take a pseudonym, C.F. Igildin, because he'd be doing something that was not his usual historical fiction. But who knows? The audiobooks are fantastic if you can get a hold of them, because they're only available outside of the US. The audiobooks are amazing, one of my favorite narrators. And the books, and this book, just in book 1, is brimming with energy and creativity and high stakes and drama. And it never goes the direction you think it will. And just everything is more nuanced than you might expect at the beginning. We start with a small cast, and one of them is the kind of leader of an orphanage in this kind of city that's like early modern London, as if it were just like a self-sufficient city-state. And you think he's going to be this mean, abusive kind of orphanage director, but it's exactly the opposite. And you think this character who can see a little bit into the future is going to do that to his advantage and exert power and influence over people, but he just wants to live a quiet life with his family. All of these characters end up being more multifaceted and interesting than you will first think. And this book 1 tells a complete narrative that's satisfying on its own, but I think the whole trilogy really just keeps on stepping up the quality as we go. And they're short, they are a breeze to read, and so fun and filled with voice, and a little bit of grittiness as well. So yeah, just hope you can discover this amazing fantasy trilogy.
Hello! I had to think for a while on what I wanted to recommend, but I thought since we share a love of kind of a little bit older, like 2000s, 90s fantasy, especially from female authors, and because I think more people should check it out, I thought a great recommendation would be The Curse of Chalion by Lois McMaster-Bujold. This is a kind of a different type of book, and it's a little bit of a slow burn, very character-focused, very heavy on the politics. It takes place as a little of a historical fantasy feel of like medieval, Southern Europe, Portugal, Spain, that kind of thing. But it's one that just is really, really well written. It pulls you in immediately with the characters, and I just feel like the characters make the story so well. But also, it's just one of those books where everything feels like it has a place. It's not super high fantasy. There's a little bit of magic, but it's not the focus. But The characters, the politics, the world that's set up, absolutely one to check out. And it's a series that you can read in pretty much any order, but I started with this one, so that's what I'll recommend.
Hey friends, it's Tori. So a book that I would love to see on your TBR for 2025 is By Blood by Salt by J.L. Odom. This is easily going to be one of my top reads of 2024. What I love about it is if you're looking for a beautiful, slow burn, heavy world building, deep character layered story, this is for you. This book is crafted so well. The prose is beautiful, and within moments of reading it, I knew that I was in the hands of an author that I could trust, which is something I love to feel. The character arcs in here are so satisfying, and I love the way that she is setting up for what I'm sure is going to be an absolutely immaculate trilogy.
I want to share some books too. If you counted the books so far, you know we are at 20 books, so 5 more to go. And I want to start with a trilogy, actually. And that is The Risen Kingdom by Curtis Craddock, starting with An Alchemy of Mask and Mirrors. Book 2 is A Labyrinth of Sign and Sorcerers. And book 3 is The Last Uncharted Sky. This is pure fantasy goodness. It has everything you would want in a good fantasy series, from fantastic characters, a unique magic system, a crazy good world that consists of floating island, there's some steampunk elements in there, there's mystery in there, and the cool part is they read really fast, so you can throw them in as a binge read between longer reads. The next book that I want to recommend for you guys to read in 2025 is the beginning of one of my favorite fantasy series, and that is Gunmetal Gods. To me, this is the most well-written fantasy series out there, and the part that I enjoy the most about it is the characters. Go aside Malazan, Gunmetal Gods is here. So much better characters, deep, gritty, full of history. It is just amazing. The last book I want to talk about is a little bit different, but I think it's well worth a read. It's probably even my favorite book of the year 2024. I'm not quite sure yet. The list will be coming out early January, so don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you want to see what my favorite books in 2024 were. But one of them is definitely Rouge by Mona Award, which is kind of a thriller, cosmic horror type story. Really fast read. I read that back in January, and now even in December, I'm still in awe about this amazing story and what I actually read there. It was definitely a mind-bending, is that a word, experience. I love Mona Award's writing, so go check this out if you want to read something really unique. Thanks to all of you who joined me in this fantastic collaboration. I couldn't have done it without you. For all of you who are watching, again, don't forget to check the description box down below. The links to all the channels are listed down there. If you don't have enough of BookTube recommendations quite yet, there's one more video that you can check out. BookTube recommends holiday books. And then, as always, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. I hope you will have an amazing start of 2025. And I hope I will see you soon with my next video. Bye!